Hey guys, it's VENUTO again. I wanted to continue my talking about Henry Adler and what I got from him, and which I think is a lot of people are teaching Moeller technique, which I guess you could say Henry was diametrically opposed to that technique. Uh, and I remember in the 70s hearing about French and German and Moeller and it was very, very foreign to me. I listened to. I'm an American drummer. I was a younger guy from New York City, and I listened to American drummers and maybe British drummers. So I didn't really hear about these other techniques. And when I did, it doesn't really speak to me. I've listened to it later on in life, those teachings, and they don't speak to me. The Moeller technique does not speak to me. If it speaks for you, fine. But I was devoted to what Henry taught me. And I wanted to give you a special technical, I like to call it chops buster. I used to like to call, hands used to be chops back in the day, and or technique. And this is something that, if you'd only know this if you study with Henry. And it's an 8-bar phrase, and or it could be a 4-bar phrase, whatever you want to do. And as you get better at it, you elongate it. It gets longer and longer. The whole thing, the forearms, the fingers, the wrists. Primarily the bottom line to all this stuff is, to me, it's the hand. We really complicate stuff, and I think what I got from Henry basically, and I got to be honest. I mean, I grew up. I listened to Tony Williams, who was one of my first heroes, and Buddy Rich, and Steve Gadd, Elvin Jones, all these guys, there was such control. There was such control there. Carl Palmer, and who I got into when I was a younger guy, and Terry Bozzio, and all those, mostly Vinny, all those guys, they had such control. And I guess sometimes with the push and pull technique, I don't see that control there. That again, if it works for you, fine. But for me, I got everything from what Henry taught me, and he didn't teach me everything. A lot of stuff I came up on my own because I was obsessed. And hopefully you are too with the drums. And you want to be a great drummer, and you don't want to learn to just play one beat or. That's what I want. That's the kind of guys I want to come to this channel, is guys that are interested in playing great drums. So let me give you this exercise and real quick, and you'll get what I'm talking about. Okay? So let me just do it, and then I'll talk a little bit. Okay. Now you see how when I got louder, I brought up the forearms, because that's what we do when you play funk, and after you start learning this stuff and you're good technically, of course you break all the rules and you play groove and stuff. You have to play with forearms, and so what I got from first of all, what I get from this exercise is I get dynamics, which a lot of times I don't hear, especially from the push and pull guys, push and pull technique. I don't hear dynamics. Getting back to this exercise, I'm getting speed because I can increase the tempo, and I can get. I'm working on each limb independently, and so there's that exercise is very special. And of course, you keep on. You make it longer and longer, and with the right hand and the left hand, and 16ths get longer and longer for as long as you want to do it, and then, of course, you're going to increase the metronome marking. So, another thing is just, whatever, even if you want to do it, you could do this even watching TV. I mean, just play with either hand, like stuff like that. Nice and relaxed. And then, of course, I remember like listening to the radio, and just whatever tempo came on, I would do that stuff for hours, and hours, whatever tune, and what happens is, I'll tell you, 6 months, a year and a half down the road, you start to really see a transformation in your technique. And of course, it's something I haven't mentioned. You need to get a teacher. I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch. I learned beats from listening to albums, listening to CDs, and emulating my favorite drummers, which I've already talked about. And so let's get back to that one thing I was doing, the 16th note thing, like one, and then maybe triplets. A little bit of forearms. And forearms was also good. Learning to do a lot of forearm stuff was very good. Like when I would hear Tony Williams, like maybe some like volume wise. So you're going like, cause that's not just riff, right? It's, and Terry Bozzio. And see that. The forearms, the first exercise I showed you will get the forearms going. So it's not just, this is an example of maybe just wrists. See, now. Dynamics is very, very, very important. It's like we're creating music here, and of course a lot of this stuff, most of this stuff that I've been teaching, the Henry Adler thing, is a technical thing, and it's only a means to an end. It's like the most important thing is, of course, keeping time. I can't really teach anybody how to fill. Live on Helm and Jib Capaldi for Traffic did some of the hippest fills I ever heard, and Rick Murata. It's stuff that was so simple. So, but I think standards like this are really important, and I think that when you're younger, and I think that, or whenever you want to get technique, and I think the main thing was to be able to play what's in your dreams, and that's the important thing, to have that freedom, and Henry gave me that freedom. To do whatever I wanted, and I even came up with stuff like this. Now, people comment and go, well, how do you do that? Well, I was obsessed for my whole life, and one day I thought, well, why can't I just come down with the stick or the brush and play something against the other hand, and it came to me, because I put in all the work. So this stuff will come, I haven't really mentioned the feet because God knows, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. Some of these death guys with the Cookie Monster singer they got great feet, and Henry, real quick, we did heel and toe with the hi-hat and whatever we felt with the bass drum. So I feel that you should learn how to play always, and maybe the beater ball coming off the bass drum and going into it, and that's a personal thing. It's a personal thing, but there's so much stuff on YouTube that you can get guys that really get into certain techniques, and I also practice a lot with stuff like this for the right foot. So whatever I play with the right hand, I would play with the foot, and getting into all these great drummers that I talked about and haven't talked about, because I think everybody can be an influence, and I'm influenced by what I see on YouTube and influenced by anybody that is interested in playing great music. And the drums can really be a musical thing. You know, I'm not here to. I don't do circus acts. I don't do. I always. The drummers that I mentioned, I love the way they looked when they played. Very serious. They didn't balance drumsticks on their head. They didn't put a black cloth on their head, and there was no showboating. And that, to me, that's what I dig. You know, that's what I like. I like drummers that were pretty serious, and there wasn't a lot of showboating and circus acts going on. And I wasn't raised that way. You know, I just was not. I like guys that really put it to you, man, and awed you. And they didn't have to do any showboating, you know, and any of that crap. So, again, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.